welcome to the show this morning, Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. But now it's time for Spring Trends. Time to show you who is trending, what is trending, and why they are trending. My name is Emmanuel Ujadigele. You can follow me on all my social media handles: Twitter, EM Ujadigele; Facebook, Emmanuel Ujadigele; Instagram, Ema Ujadigele. Now let's get straight to business, while you also follow our station on all our handles displaying right there on your screen. Now, yesterday was filled with so much drama across the country. A lot of things happened yesterday. I will start with former Minister of Aviation, Femi Fani-Kayode. A lot of persons know him as, what's it called now? They call him Asorosoboto in, in Yoruba. Well, if you talk too much, you tend to say the wrong things. So yesterday, the DSS, Department of State Services, invited Femi Fani-Kayode to come speak to them about an allegation he made to against the presidential candidate of the APC, Atiku Abubakar. He said that Atiku Abubakar met with some army generals and they were planning to ruin the election. He was invited by the DSS to come and tell us where you got to that information from. And after 6 hours, he was released. And he said that he wasn't going to tweet like that again. He regretted saying those things. But before he was released, let's see how Nigerians reacted to him being invited. So Shofowora Oladapo says, I tweeted about FFK some days ago about his unguarded statement and how he can't run campaigns based on issues without insulting. Now he has run into troubled waters after making an unfounded claim. Now he has been invited by the DSS over what he tweeted. Oladiji Dada says, happy and delighted to know that DSS has invited FFK for a chat. He would now go through a proper debriefing and will be at liberty to share the details of the security threat he claims to have with the authorities. They will then assess and verify his claims accordingly. I laugh. TP says DSS invites Femi Fani-Kayode to substantiate his claims that Atiku met with some security chiefs and is planning a coup. FFK has always been a reckless rabble-rouser. What a man. Ladan Salihu says, arrest Femi Fani-Kayode. Atiku Abubakar, as a committed Democrat, will never support military rule. DSS must detain F. Kayode and investigate the claim on Atiku meeting with generals to plan a coup. It's a treasonable comment. FFK must name the generals. The law must take its full course. You just open your mouth, wah, and you just say things, we, and then you land in DSS net, bam. Adamu Bello says the DSS should give Mr. FFK an opportunity to substantiate his claim. If he does, Atiku must be stopped and brought to justice. If he fails, FFK must be brought to justice. And on Facebook, Isaac Chukwuna Ikem says, DSS has detained FFK. Please, they should keep him till after the elections. We don't need noisemakers in a serious election like this. And yes, he is a noisemaker. I quite agree. Anyefiok no fit. Oh. Says, I must commend DSS for the arrest of FFK. It came timely. Enough of extreme propaganda to heat up the polity when you know your candidate is a sore loser. Chidi Chiemezium says, the DSS said they have FFK in their custody. Man has ranted himself into a national security threat. Whenever he lets his tongue loose, he doesn't know when or the bus stop to hold his break. There is a limit a man should talk. He doesn't have capacity to hold his break, especially if food is involved. Wow. Really? Well, Muyiwa Alade Yellow says, FFK has been invited by the DSS. That man will just open his mouth to say anything without restraint. And he's more than 40. And what do they say about people who are fools at 40? Maybe fools forever. Isaac Chukwa Naikem says, as DSS detains FFK, I have a new client for them. Off which camera? Arrest him too, Biko. Now, based on that, we'll move over to our next story. That clip you saw, that screenshot you saw, was from a particular video. And that video was released by former governor of Edo State. I am ashamed that he's a former governor of my state, former chairman of the National Labour Congress, ashamed that he was ever NLC chairman, former national chairman of the APC until he was sacked. Adams Oshomole, who is a senatorial candidate of the APC in Edo State. Let's see that video and what Adams Oshomole told his boys, including one of the deadly thugs in Benin, Tony Kabaka.
We can help and do better.
Exactly.
His one voice is a minority voice. So that's why I'm concerned about. Even if in 10 minutes, let's go out. You see, we have to intimidate. See, this is a do. This is another.
Well, you saw the first video there. That first video was the APC campaign of Adams Oshiomhole. And during his campaign, the people there were shouting, Peter Obi, Peter Obi. That was what led to that video, the next video that you saw, where he was saying that the Labour Party is a minority party, and that was Edo, not Anambra, and they should go out to go and intimidate the Labour Party members. And just before he said some other very, I'm sure, terrible things, you could hear Tony Kabaka telling people to turn off their cameras. Now let's go straight to the comments. We begin with Twitter. Chudi says, wonder how that video from Oshiomhole got leaked. Remember mid-2022 when Obaseki told them they have obedient in all their family. They never see us coming. We should call for Oshiomhole's arrest. Use the hashtag arrest Oshiomhole now. Pass it. Nefertiti says, Oshiomhole told his thugs to intimidate the obedient in Edo State. He said this in a meeting he held in his country house. Worried the video may leak, you could hear a voice in the background telling his foot soldiers to switch off their cameras. When did elections become a war? From there, we'll move on to Benjamin Mayer. It says, Dear Nigerians, Oshiomhole urged his thugs to intimidate the obedience in Edo State on camera. I'm calling on all security agencies to be aware of his plans. Oshiomhole and Kabaka must be called to order now. No one has a monopoly of violence. Well, from that, we'll move over to Distinguished Everest. When Obaseki told them that even in their families they are obedient, they didn't understand it. That video took place in Oshiomhole's private home with his main thugs, yet it leaked. Lessons. And going over to Facebook, Obiora Kenneth Chinwuba says, see them shouting off camera. They are planning evil. Nigerian police should take note. Adams Oshiomhole telling them that they have to intimidate Labour Party voters. Very good. They were accused obedient of being the violent ones. Pastor Funke Simbos Agbuwa says, you have to intimidate who? Election is not violence, for God's sake. Coming back to power, not by force. I pray the will of people will prevail this time. Idris Amadu, Oshiomhole has no class. Obaseki have already derobed him. APC only gave him a lifeline to come back to the political arena, but he won't succeed. Moving on to that, Odia Joseph says, in a working country, this man's supposed to be arrested. Blessing Elijah says, Odia Joseph, exactly. The thing is that these politicians are not coming with ease. We have to be ready to fight back and overcome them. If not, we're in trouble in this country. And the next comment on that story is also on Facebook, and that's Benjamin Oguda Adepe says, this is a clear indication of the acclaimed structure of the APC, structure of violence, criminality, and intimidation of voters. This is where they have failed because their agenda has been exposed. Okay, Ogamaya says, arrest Adams Oshiomhole now. Adams Oshiomhole asking Tony Kabaka and his terror gang to intimidate and unleash violence on obedient Labour Party supporters. According to this evil man, Edo is not Anambra. His aides were shouting off camera, off camera. Unfortunately for them, Nigerians and the world have the video. Tony Kabaka, I wish you good luck. Adeda Mola says, I am posting this a second time because I need to address separate audiences. This goes to Mr. Peter Obi. I fully expect you and the Presidential Campaign Council to address this frontally. Oshiomhole cannot be holding a meeting with known thugs and giving them marching orders to intimidate obedient, and Obi is still forming Mr. Nice Guy. This is unacceptable. Well, away from that story, away from the political scene for a while, let's get to Abuja, where the pastor of the House on the Rock in Abuja, Uche Aigbe, was detained or has been detained by the police force for carrying an AK-47 on the altar to preach his message on Sunday. That rifle belonged to an inspector, Musa Audu. You want to wonder why the inspector gave out his rifle to the cleric. Now let's take a listen. Let me show you the video of that Sunday service and what the pastor actually said while carrying that rifle.
Because we like works. We're used to traditional medicine. Because you can't go to Babalawo anymore, you go to consult a pastor. So pastors have become Babalawos wearing suits. Or can I tell you the truth? So they tell you have to do certain things in order to grab you and to grip you. And unfortunately, not all pastors, but there are some pastors who are operating under the spirit of divination. They know how to read palms, and they're not different from palm readers or diviners. So they can look at you, tell you about your past, the things that happened in your family tree some years ago, and you think that this is a prophet. How many people in Jesus' lifetime did Jesus tell things about their past? How many people in the lifetime of all the apostles did he look at and began telling them things about their past? There are certain things that has nothing to do with the gospel. God is not a magician. God is not a diviner. Yes, he knows everything from the past to the future, but he does not use your past to manipulate you. That is why we need to carry our guns and...
Well, so you can see that pastor preaching there with the AK-47. Contrary to reports, that AK-47 had the bullet, the cartridge attached to it. So it was not empty. It wasn't unarmed, as they were saying. That rifle did have the bullets and its casing attached to it. Now let's take reactions. We begin from Twitter this morning. You can see the picture of the first PRO, Lumuyiwa Adejobi, there alongside Pastor Uche Aigbe, who has been detained by the police. Now let's take a look at Nigerians and what they have said. Olalekan says, I know this guy just put the police in a big mess. I had similar experiences in the past during installation of scanner. The policeman refused to hand over his rifle to the white guy, and he cited some laws to back his reason. Live and Let Live says, good riddance to bad rubbish. All these accidental scammers calling themselves men of God needed to be taught some lessons, and that inspector should be disciplined accordingly. Bat23 for real says, Uche Aigbe should also be prosecuted for illegal possession of arms according to the law. Either he uses it or not, being in possession of it is a threat to life among the congregation. Audible Akin says, I initially believed it was his own gun and he was licensed to carry it, but now I see it wasn't his own weapon and he had no license. Arrest him. Damilola Adenusi says, Inspector Audu did not display gallantry as a well-trained police officer. How on earth could he have willingly given out his weapon with ammo to another person? Very important question. Was he bewitched? Was he scammed? Eddie Young Timothy said, who should have known better, the police or the pastor? House on the Rock is a big church. They can take care of the police. We'll move over to Facebook. Timothy Ofeogbu says, they should also investigate the bandits, unknown gunmen, and insurgents with the bombs and AK-49. But Komo, what is the pastor doing with that highly sophisticated weapon? We need explanation. Wale Showemimo says, that's just a sensible way of dealing with this. What was he doing with an assault rifle like the AK-47? What did he intend to achieve with that unchristian-like gesture? And the video, his arrest is a welcome development before other pastors and imams queue behind by flooding churches and mosques with machine guns. Adewale Adelakun says, honestly, he needs to answer some questions. I actually understood his message, but bringing AK-47 into the church to buttress his point, he has gone too far. Let him come and explain where he got it from. We know where he got it from. Good one from the NPF. Kevin Ada says, the pastor and the inspector jointly and severally endangered the lives of innocent worshippers and must receive a proportionate hot handshake of justice. I pity the poor inspector who impulsively yielded to the imposing influence of the pastor. He might have realized his error seconds after he handed the gun, but couldn't muster courage to ask for it back, since such pastors pose like super gods. Security officers and everyone on whatever duty should always be courageous to stand their ground against undue influence of whosoever. Well, that's the story there this morning. We'll move over back to the political scene. Something happened in Akure, the Ondo State capital, yesterday involving the Labour Party. You've heard about it on the interview segment and the newspaper review segment, but I'd like to show you the scene they say is believing. So let's go to Akure and see what happened there. Okay, so let me give you a clearer picture of what happened in Akure. Banjo Omotosho, the self-acclaimed Southwest leader of the Labour Party, gathered some persons at a meeting with Dayo Adeyeye, who's a Swagger head. Swagger is a body campaigning for Tinubu, and they tore their Labour Party membership card. But let's take a closer look at the sweeping of the cards by the Labour Party members. Okay, so let me now read out the story to you and tell you what happened. 2 weeks before the presidential election, the Labour Party in the Southwest has collapsed its entire structure in the region into the All Progressives Congress. The group also declared its support for the presidential candidate of the APC, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. Speaking with journalists in Akure Radio in the state capital on Monday, that's yesterday, the Southwest chairman of the Labour Party, Mr. Omotosho Banji, explained that their journey into the APC was facilitated by the national coordinator of the Southwest Agenda for Asiwaju Tinubu 2023, Dayo Adeyeye, and other members of the group. Omotosho, who led the party leadership to collapse its structure, said the leaders of the LP decided to quit the party because it was not viable and lacked the clout to win the forthcoming general election. And let's take the reactions of Nigerians to that particular story. We'll start with Unwa Fresh. Unwa Fresh says, "Dear obedient, Southwest Labour Party chairman Omotosho Banji led the party's leadership to collapse the structure in Akure, the capital of Ondo State. Other leaders of the Labour Party that defected were Omowumi Olushola, Ondo's secretary of LP Shola Alabi, amongst others. I just, they laugh." You can see a picture of Aisha Yusufu weeping there, but not because of that incident. Ambassador says, Labour Party will empty itself before the elections. The Northeast Labour Party collapsed and joined PDP, while the Southwest Labour Party collapsed and joined APC. Una go learn this politics. Elon says, while Tinubu is busy looking for Labour Party's non-existing structure to buy, Peter Gregory Obi is busy packing votes in Lagos and the entire Southwest. APC, they play, vote Labour Party, vote Obi Dati. And on Facebook, Chioma Chinyere says, who we know is Peter Obi that is contesting for presidential election to become the next president of Nigeria. Therefore, whether some people defect to another party, that will not stop Obi from getting a resounding winning. Chekwas Obi says, the only person that would defect and it will affect Labour Party now is Peter Obi. Any other person is inconsequential. We're taking Nigeria back from evil and criminal structures. A new Nigeria is possible. Lotana Analue says, 99% of obedients are voting for Obi Dati and not Labour Party. Obi would do the needful after INEC declares him the president. Nigerians are contesting through Obi Dati. May Nigerian win through Obi. Know this and no peace. Phillips Obi Adam says, APC is seriously scared of Obi Dati rising. They are now resorting to massive propaganda and falsehoods using the media against our principle because they, APC, got nothing to offer Nigerians. May God protect PO from that desperation. IJN, amen. And still on Facebook, Ojomo Cleve says, the power of money. Anyways, I congratulate the so-called LP party leaders in the Southwest for a successful cash out. But as for we, the Southwest youths, who are the worst affected by bad leadership in this country, our votes belong to Peter Obi and nobody else. Ogbonna Charles says, they are very late in the day. They were placed as moles, but little did they know that the Obi Dati movement is a movement. That Obi Dati is a movement, and it's not all about Labour Party, because our constitution does not support independent candidature. Cliff Osatowe says, in this Obi movement, Labour is just a fulfillment of the law that a candidate must run under a political party. The movement is bigger than LP itself. LP is playing catch-up. If the movement was about LP, certainly Obi campaign wouldn't have gone beyond his family compound. But you see this movement, it is beyond Labour Party. APC should know this and have peace. Well, that's the story. And that's what's happening in the country at the moment, from Femi Fani-Kayode's invitation by the DSS to the Abuja pastor who was detained, down to Labour Party, and of course so many other things happening around the world and around the country. We'll bring more to you tomorrow on Spring Trends. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. My name is Emmanuel Ujadikili, and I'll see you tomorrow. Happy Tuesday, happy Valentine's Day.